Film School Slacker contains adult language and themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello and welcome to Film School Slacker, the podcast where I go through my ever-growing watch list of films. I'm Ian, and normally this is where I would say, and here with me is my friend Megan, but alas, I have traveled hundreds of miles to the Chicagoland area to see some friends. You have met Mitch before. Hello, Mitch.
Hey, gang.
And also my friend Katie.
Hello.
Hello, Katie. Welcome.
Thank you.
Amazing. So before we get started with the film I'm very excited about, let's do a little introductions to our guests today. Mitch, let's start with you.
Yeah, well, nice to hear everybody again. Good to be on the podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Another movie, obviously, very, very excited about. Excited to see you watch it, Ian.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got a background in film. Worked for about the last 10 years on and off doing, production design type stuff. So prop design and set design for theater and film and television commercials mostly.
Nice.
So yeah, always interested in the places and the objects and the behind the scenes.
The
it's
vibes.
always something that captured me. Like, why does it make me feel that way?
Yeah. What visually does that? Yeah, absolutely. All right, Katie. Let's learn a little bit about you since you're new to the show.
So I am new to the show, as you said, but I'm not new to these kinds of conversations about film. I also went to film school with these two gents here. And I'm actually married to Mitch.
Yeah.
So that's
What?
fun.
Really?
It's crazy.
Show me the ring.
We don't wear rings.
Do we have the
We don't need
paperwork?
that.
Nope, there's no proof.
Oh,
There's no proof.
Wow.
I'm not buying
Amazing.
Rings or it didn't happen.
Amazing.
But I actually have a background more so on the animation side of things.
Yeah.
Typically traditional. I dabbled in 3D a little bit, and that's when I learned this is not for me. But I still appreciate it and love it, and I act like I'm, a full-fledged animator all the time, when in actuality, I'm a full-time massage therapist now.
Nice. Excellent.
Which is really chill and nice.
Hey, look, I think Mitch is the closest to being in the
Still
field
in the
that he
field.
went to.
Yeah, that Oscar is just
Waiting for it.
Just waiting.
Perfect. Yes, because the Oscar is how we determine the quality of.
That's it.
But that's awesome. Yeah, and I think that's fun because there's a lot of film students in the world, or film graduates in the world, and not a lot of them have an animation degree. And I think that's pretty cool. Like, that's always been I think you've always delivered a cool perspective by having that background. It's a very different way of seeing storytelling visually.
Definitely.
Yes. And a different way of telling the story as well.
Absolutely. You
Some
can be a lot
things
more
can't-
abstract.
yeah.
You can do. So I think it's very fun to get your take on stuff because it's cool. It's a cool perspective.
Should be perfect for this 1975 animated film about a giant shark.
That changes my entire perspective. So with that lead in, we are talking about Jaws today.
Jaws.
Which I have never seen.
I love it.
I do know the music. That is true. Do we know who did the music?
John?
Is it John
fucking
fucking
Williams?
Williams? God damn it.
Yeah, who else?
So who's our folks? We got
This is a Steven Spielberg movie.
That's right.
This was one of his earlier films. He had done a couple features that were, action based.
Yeah.
But this one really ended up being a summer blockbuster, kind of the OG summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
And it obviously sent his career to greater
he's
heights than it's been before, and really made him the
right.
whatever word you want to use, legend that he is today. It's based on a book by Peter Benchley. It's a novel called Jaws.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people think about this as almost like a spiritual successor to like Psycho, which was also based on a novel.
Sure.
Very much
And
so.
another kind of groundbreaking film with sort of levels of violence that were
Unusual.
sort of unusual
for the time. Sure.
Yeah, for a mainstream audience.
Yeah.
Both based on novels. And then this one, as we said, is 1975, which makes us the 50th anniversary.
50th
summer
anniversary.
of Jaws.
Cool.
And we're leading into the summer at the time of our recording here. So what a perfect time to
Coming up on June.
Yes, and
It's a
it's very
summer
hot
movie.
today, so it will
is.
be perfect.
No doubt. Yeah,
I'm very
it's
excited.
almost summer in Chicago. It's not quite Cape Cod, but
Speaking of Chicago.
yeah, we just thought it'd be a really great idea to kick this off welcome Ian to Chicago, back to his second home.
With a giant shark.
His second home in the second city.
To do.
And we're gonna do a shot of Malort before we start this off.
All right,
I'm not doing this, but they
Fair.
will.
All right, here we go.
Have fun.
You know the rules. All right.
Oh yeah, baby.
I have
Just
proof
vile.
they did it. I watched them do it.
All right.
For the record,
that's for you, Pope Leo.
That's for Pope Leo.
Yeah.
What time?
We
is
love
it?
Pope.
FYI.
It's like 12:51.
You goddamn right. Yeah. PM, not AM.
Yes, right, correct. PM.
The sun is shining.
The sun is shining out, and we're doing Malort.
And might I add, they're also not completing the Chicago handshake, though. There is no can of Old Style.
There's
so
no
these
can of
guys
Old
are
Style.
truly
We're
hardcore.
raw dogging it.
They are so hardcore.
He's having
This
Malort
isn't a
and coffee.
Chicago
Malort and coffee. It's
This
a
isn't a
weird
Chicago
day.
handshake. It's a Chicago
Punch.
punch.
Yeah.
Punch.
Face
Yeah.
punch.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Little less
handshake
friendly.
All right.
All right. Well, with all that being said, I don't know anything about this movie other than the fact that it's about shark attacks.
Perfect.
And it's in New England, I think.
Yep.
Yes.
And and it has iconic music. Like that's kind of all I know about it.
That's a great.
Another
base.
thing to know is that it's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I was super pumped to do this.
There was a lot of excitement when we started talking about doing
We're hyping
Jaws.
this up,
Yeah.
and it's worth the hype.
It's worth I'm very excited for that. And it's like we have a database of of movies that we kind of maintain for the podcast, and you guys' names have always been sitting next to Jaws. Very excited
It's good
to do it.
We're gonna go take a look at the 3 R's. Those are the stars of the movie. We got Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss.
My love. I love you, Richard Dreyfuss.
Along with it's a very colorful cast.
It is.
I'm very excited. Alrighty, gang. With that being said, let's roll the tape. I'm a little bit mad for a couple of reasons. The first is that I hadn't seen this movie until now. Wow. And then the second thing is I just hate how talented Steven Spielberg is. I don't know.
Like right off the bat.
He's like good to go. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, I see. You just were that good. Okay.
Is it not just like a fucking trip?
That is a banger of a movie.
I know.
That is a movie that understands pacing.
Yes.
It's a movie that understands suspense. It understands an aesthetic, and it understands writing and acting. Like it doesn't really have a real weak point.
Yeah.
Which is so wild to me. Like it doesn't tell a super complicated story, nor is it trying to. But it does it really well. It has actors who are like just sell it in a way that is pretty amazing, and it looks correct. It's shot correct. Like I don't know. I'm pretty blown away, honestly. Like I wasn't expecting to be as blown away by it as I was. I just wasn't expecting that level of. I was expecting to be like cheesier than it was, I guess.
That's what everybody says.
Yeah. Like that's, I think genuinely, that was the biggest shock. Is I'm just like, why is this so unironically good? Yeah. That was where I
think
really,
because it has its corny moments, but it knows. It's a little self-aware of the fact of we know this is insane.
Right.
But we don't care.
Right. Like the character of Quint, I think, sort of is there to point out that it's a little bit crazy.
Yes.
Right.
And that's okay. Like you're along for the ride. And everyone's like just sort of knows that. I don't know. It's just a really I don't know. Like it just hit really well. And unfortunately, this is one of those situations where so much happened, and I'm gonna struggle to process all of it in real time.
It's gonna be a tough one to get through. I mean, you could talk about this movie. There are podcasts about this movie.
Right.
And they just analyze scenes and talk for hours about specific set decoration and props and behind the scenes stuff. So there's no way we could even hope to crack the surface. Splash the surface of this one. But
one thing that has always stood out to me, I'll just get the ball rolling. The triad of Quint, Hooper, and Brody
Yes.
are incredible to me because, as you pointed out, Quint is absolutely psychotic.
Right.
And he represents the psychotic nature of the film.
Right.
And Hooper's kind of like your middleman. And then you have Chief Brody, who kind of like acts as an audience, like a cue for an audience member.
He's sort of the audience write-in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To be like, this is nuts, right?
But I also,
you know?
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing I like about Brody is he's very he's the good everyman that is somebody that you would aspire to be.
Yes,
like,
he's
relatable. As a relatable person and an aspirational figure in a lot of ways. But the second he gets out into the element of Quint, like he's completely out of his depth.
Right.
Sorry, out of his depth.
There's going to be a lot of puns.
Of these nautical puns.
A lot of nautical puns here.
Yeah. And so he's a great character to follow. Like it's just I haven't encountered a primary protagonist that is such a great protagonist to follow through a piece of media. Like it was cool. Like I kind of forgot about just a classic, you character write-in, you rah for the good guy protagonist. Like it's just a really well executed character, both from like an acting story.
They make him so sympathetic.
He's very likable.
The movie.
Yeah.
I mean, you understand every pressure he's under.
Right.
And part of it is he's just a really expressive actor too, Roy Scheider. So it's really easy to just read his mind at any given moment.
Yes.
And that's the direction too, obviously. And
I think too that another reason why he's such an interesting character is because his arc is mainly internal. And it has to do with his fear of the ocean and such.
Right.
But because I think that for the most part, he stays very true to his values throughout the entire film.
Yeah.
None of that wavers. From the beginning, he's like, we need to close the beach. Right. And he sticks to that.
He sticks to it. And then the fear of the ocean is
it's like gravy for him.
Yeah. And it's not an irrational fear. That's the thing I like is it's a very healthy fear of the ocean.
I mean, it can kill you, clearly.
Yeah. I just absolutely was just taken by the way that he's written, the way that he's got the wife and the kids, they're on the island. And also another great way to make him relatable to you is that he's kind of an outsider himself.
Right.
He's not
in the town.
And they make it very clear, like there's the islanders and the not islanders. And like, you can always, there's even little interspersed pieces of dialogue on the beach where it's like, yeah, you can be welcomed here, but we won't call you an islander. Yeah. And that's such a great way to like it's a movie that is blockbustery and has a lot of spectacle. But it isn't a movie that holds your hand. It lets you find stuff for yourself, which I thought was super cool as well. I'm going to start working through my notes. Mitch, you've been exposed to my unhinged notes before when we did Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yeah, sure enough.
And so I'm going to start working through these because there's a shit ton of them.
I have one note to add.
Yeah.
I just pulled up the info just to have along. I just would like to point out that this is rated PG.
It is.
And I find that bizarre.
This should be pre.
This was pre PG-13.
This is also Spielberg adjacent because Temple of Doom was the first PG-13, which was 1980.
So that's just a fun thing to point out.
That actually is.
But
a really
let's
good thing
hear
to point
your.
out. You're absolutely right. That would not be a PG movie today.
No.
In fact, I'm shocked they haven't re-rated it. Like it hasn't been reevaluated to PG. Because that's easily PG-13.
I think there are times too when it trickles a little bit on the edge of like
it could be R.
Are we R rated here?
Yeah,
I'm not
like
sure.
it could almost be.
It's pretty graphic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm gonna start working through these notes.
Yes.
It was fun to see the Retro Universal logo, like at the beginning of like the. Yeah, it's always I always enjoy that a lot. Jumping in immediately to a John Williams score, it feels like you're coming home. Like even though it was a movie I hadn't seen before, like his scoring style is so specific that you just immediately just feel like you're curled up in like you just know I'm at the movies. Like I don't know how else to describe it. Like he's such a distinctive sound with like I literally wrote John Williams French horns ! That was just really really fun.
The music I feel like acts as it's almost another actor in the film because it guides the tone, it guides the pacing, it guides so much.
And I feel like there's kind of two separate scores that happen simultaneously. There's the score that happens around the island and the heroes' themes and stuff, and then there's like the monster. You know, like there's like
Right.
that quintessential bum 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 bum.
Quintessential.
Oh my god.
And as you pointed out,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
as we pointed out earlier, this music, you know, our dun 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 dun
Yeah,
dun
yeah,
dun,
yeah.
it kind of
Follows
follows the shark.
Yes.
When he comes in frame, it gets louder. When he leaves, it fades away.
Yeah, like did they attach a
Right.
Bluetooth speaker to the shark?
This is his
Who's to say?
theme.
Yeah, it follows him
His
around.
theme music.
Bruce
Yeah.
Tooth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Your blues tooth.
Bruce Tooth.
Oh my god! This
sorry.
is just
No, this is the tone we've set, and we just
My
have to live in that
God.
now. It's excellent.
You have been warned.
You have been warned. If this is going to be a problem for you, please stop listening. Yeah, it was just immediately like the score itself. To your point, Katie, was a character of its own. It was extraordinarily versatile in what it would do depending on the sequence. Like, you know, you've got something like, and I hate to throw him under the bus because I actually genuinely like. Oh no, I'm gonna lose my mind. What's his name? Another really big.
Please don't
famous-
say who you're gonna think I'm gonna say.
I don't know.
You're not gonna say Hans Zimmer, are
I
you?
am.
No, please
What?
don't do this to me.
What?
Are you going?
Wait, what?
I adore Hans Zimmer, and I'm bracing myself.
I was about to say I really actually very much enjoy
okay.
Hans Zimmer.
Okay, good.
But my one kind of complaint is he doesn't do a lot of dynamics. Like, for example, like you've got with John Williams is much more classically orchestral in my mind. Like he does his stuff is kind of structured like classical music, where you've got these big, you know, things, and it'll move back and do a little bit, you know, he'll like, it can be dramatically different depending on the sequence. Like he's a lot more.
He makes use of the entire orchestra.
Right.
At different times.
And I think that and again, like I want to say this, like I really enjoy Hans Zimmer. His style is much more like it's a little bit
It's
different,
very emotional,
but it's
dramatic, you know.
but it's a very similar. It uses a very similar instrumentation.
Yeah.
Pretty consistently. And that's not bad. It's just interesting because I'm so used to that being like the kind of primary style now, where it's like
And
a
also-
very specific drive.
yeah.
This is very different. Like you'll go between these sequences where you've got Brody climbing up on the whatever, and you went from having this like blunt, like this very scary orchestral, deep, guttural cello strings kind of thing happening, and then you move into him going up and being heroic, and it's this bright, almost
Yes.
kind of jaunty, like it'll bounce between those.
the characters are assigned instruments.
Like they have their own kind of leitmotifs that are really dramatically different, and the score is willing to flex between them very, very quickly. I just thought it was. I haven't seen a movie that's been quite that dramatic with its score in a while, and I just thought it was a really fun.
And also, what I think is really cool is the music knows when to not be there.
Right. It
There's
does disappear.
and that's what makes those moments so dramatic, because you're not sure what to think.
Right.
Because the score is it holds, it's like, this is bad, or
Right,
this is
right,
good.
right.
It's so strong in that sense
Yeah.
that when it's not there, you're like,
Yeah,
what do I
it's-
think? What do I feel?
Suddenly gets very ambient.
Yes.
Yeah.
After all these years of watching movies, that is one thing that is in common with every great movie, is they know when to shut
When to shut up.
and just let the dialogue or lack of dialogue just sit.
Yeah.
Whatever the big thing that they're focusing on, let it speak for itself.
And I think
Yes.
that just shows a lot of it's coming from, you know, obviously the director sitting there with the editor, and,
Right.
and it just shows that restraint.
Yeah.
And it just shows that they're thinking.
Yeah.
They're thinking that way.
Yeah.
And there's like faith in the audience to like make
Yes.
the inferences.
right.
I often have a phrase that I use, especially with dialogue, where I will say something along the lines of, "This was written by writers."
Right.
As in like, "Oh, well, remember you just moved here from New York to be the new, you know, Amity
Right.
City like chief
Right.
of police."
Right.
Yeah.
We don't need to be told that.
Right.
Like
And
we
I-
can figure it out.
Right.
Since you bring that up,
Yeah.
and maybe this will be in your notes, since we're kind of starting at the beginning
Yeah,
of the film, talk about a great way to introduce your main character and learn almost everything there
Everything.
is to know
Oh,
about
it's
them.
so good.
In a couple really witty little.
It's a master class. It's a master class.
It really is.
In set building and world building.
So smart.
Yeah.
I mean, you suddenly like, bam, you know where he's from. You know what his job was. You know how long they've been there.
Yeah.
It's just,
You know how he's feeling
in
about
like
the job?
in like
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
Right.
You completely know him and his wife's character.
And they did it through a natural piece of dialogue that isn't trying to be exposition. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't. I
Right,
mean, it is
right.
exposition, obviously, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's not.
It's some of the.
attempting
It
to
is
be.
the slickest exposition I think
I
I've
love
ever
that.
seen in a movie.
You're absolutely right. Oh, so I've got a couple of notes about like the very opening scene, right? So I'm like, ooh, kissing under fire, and then because my notes are unhinged, and that's just how we roll, right? And then the '70s hair, holy shit, like that.
Yeah.
there was some. Those were the only young adults the entire time we were in the movie, because every other time beyond this, it was either children or 70-year-olds. I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
why. I don't know why that was the casting decision they made, but it's fun. And I do wonder if they used a lot of if they went for like a local look for when they were trying to create
That's my
the vibe of
understanding.
Amity, like, and that could be like
I
it's
think
just a
it's,
very interesting.
I think that's where a lot of the Coen brothers idea, that sort of like local casting
It's
thing,
like their thing came
to
from
get that
big
authenticity.
look. Yeah, it
I
really
think
does
they,
feel
they
like
got a
it's-
lot of that from Jaws.
Yeah, absolutely. Chrissy's gonna die. Like you can just tell before
You
she got in the
know.
water. I knew she was
You
dying.
know.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
yeah. R.I.P. Chrissy. All they ever found was a piece of the. I don't know. The
your
thing that's funny
arm.
is I really enjoyed also the restraint on the gore.
Yeah.
Like when it appeared, it was scary. Like it was more
Yes.
impactful. I think that's another thing about this movie. You know, you were talking about restraint, right? I think that we have lost the art of restraint in movies a little bit because you can do anything,
Yes.
so everyone does everything. And I
How
feel
do you
like,
push the envelope?
how do you
then?
push the envelope? And
Yeah.
I think even more than that, like I feel like there's an element of like I've mentioned this on the podcast before. I call it Doctor Who syndrome. It's where you can't keep saving a larger universe. Like at some point, and the MCU is guilty of this too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, well now you've saved the universe from the snap. Okay, now where do you go from here? At some point, you've gotten too big. Don't just sit there and continually push something until it's too big to do anything, or push the effects until they're too big to really mean anything anymore. Like if you eliminate, if you push the scale way out to the point where everyone's anesthetized to any sense of scope, then you can't have that kind of dynamic range anymore. Everything's just blown out.
It's like the capitalism of
Yeah.
filmmaking.
not
We
to-
must
not
appease
to-
the stockbrokers.
Yes.
Bigger profits. Bigger.
not to move into Das Kapital or something.
Kapital.
Yeah, right. But like it does feel like there is an element of maximalist
Yeah.
in
More
media
modern
today, in
cinema.
modern cinema. Yeah. And I feel like it does sort of eliminate having real feelings in a movie sometimes, because you're being just blasted at full volume the entire time. And this movie did such a good job of like feeling that it was Hitchcockian in its level of build up. And I think that was such a fun and rewarding watch
Right.
because of that.
And there's nothing scarier than what
You
the
don't
human
know.
mind can conjure
Yes.
up in its head.
Right, like you show me
You
just
know?
like a grizzled hand
Well,
from
then
Chrissy. Like,
what does
I'm
the
gonna-
rest of it look like?
Exactly, and it comes out in a
Yeah.
tub that's like the size of a Rubbermaid. What's in there? And you just think
Not
about
much.
it.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
And
so that's the nice thing, is that if you were to see the body, you're like,
Right.
oh, that's what it looks like.
right.
Like, so that's a lesson that Spielberg learned from other directors. And then when this movie went bonko bananas
Yeah.
huge, that lesson then got passed on to a lot of filmmakers. Number one in my mind, like John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Who, like The Thing comes to mind, his remake of The Thing. Which is like
sure.
6 or 7 years later. It's a movie that just doesn't show much of a monster
Right.
for the first like
Right.
2/3.
Right.
And Jaws set that example that lasted kind of until this more recent wave
round of, yeah.
hey, let's just show everything
Everything
from
all
the
the
get-go,
time.
maximize
all
the
the
drama
things.
and shit.
And
You know?
Yeah. Maximize effects, maximize the drama, maximize all of it. I think the other thing that was fun in the first half of the movie, something that I wasn't expecting from the first half of the movie, was that like, wow, I'm just gonna, yeah.
Is that a teenager?
Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
I'm gonna
No,
get you,
no.
Gonna eat you, gonna eat you, Ian Eric, I'm gonna eat you.
Da-da-da.
We can
Oh my god. So the first half of the film has an element of talking about like the hysteria of humanity and humans being the bad guy.
Yes.
Like it definitely does a good job of showing that. What's really funny about this is like I'm talking about this like it's profound, and the fact of the matter is this movie's been out for how many years, and I'm just 50. Now 50 years, like as established earlier, 50 years ago, and I'm just now getting to it. But like genuinely, it's amazing how well it does at being like, let's tackle humanity's problem first,
Some
and then
things
we'll
never
move on
change.
to the monster, right? Like that's exactly. And I think that's a
And it kind of creates there's like a part 1 and part 2
Agreed.
of the film,
Yeah.
which I've always found cool.
it
you
does
know?
have an act 1 and an act 2.
Because like once they wrap up the idea of, okay, we're closing the beach.
We're closing the beach.
We're done with that.
The mayor,
that antagonist has been shut down.
Yeah.
Now we can go hunt the shark.
right? There's the shutting down the folly of man, and
Right.
once that has been vanquished, then it turns into an entirely different movie.
Monster
Yeah,
Hunter movie.
it's two movies,
It's two
and they're
movies.
both really good.
Yeah,
They are.
exactly. They're both, and they're good
Because
for
you don't
different
see
reasons.
any other character besides
Right.
the three until
Right.
once they get on the boat.
Right.
And
Bruce.
Jaws
Yeah.
too, if you will.
Yeah, exactly. I was just not expecting that as a format. I didn't know that's how the format of the movie was, and it took me by surprise, and I just really like it as a arc. At the beginning, do we think that was a day to night conversion? I feel like it was.
Yeah, I think so.
That is one of the few things that I get kind of like, and I think, and I know why they did, especially before digital cinema was a thing, because
Well, and so I noticed that as well, but I think they play it off really well because shortly after Chrissy is, eaten, they show you the sun rising.
Well, I think it's a sun's.
Was it a sunset?
I don't know.
No, it was definitely darker in the first scene
Okay.
when they're on the campfire.
Yeah,
I always
okay.
kind of had it in my
Imagine it
head
to
that
be a sunrise.
they were really out really late. It's
Okay.
like maybe 4 in
Yeah,
the
that could
morning
be.
or so. And
You
then,
know, I never thought about it, but
That
because
makes
you would
sense.
see the sunrise fairly early.
Absolutely.
that's
and
because it's definitely
Yes.
dark at that campfire.
And it's the same thing at one point when the trio is on the boat and they're, fraternizing and stuff like that.
Right.
You know? And then it suddenly starts to feel a little lighter outside. And I get
Yeah.
that same sense that
No,
they've
you're
been
right.
up all night
That's a
and they're
fair-
out on the horizon when the
Yeah.
sun,
sun is about to break through, and there's that
and it
pre-dawn.
happens so much earlier because
you're
there's
right.
no
Yeah.
trees, there's no buildings, there's
Yeah.
nothing. So
Interesting.
No, I buy that.
that's
Yeah.
always what I thought.
But you're
Yeah.
right. There's not much that dates it in a technical sense, but that's one of the things from that era that's
Right.
like, oh boy, we really couldn't just.
Dude.
But again, I get it.
The thing about special effects back in the day, if you remember, they were used sparingly.
because they knew
Yes.
that, like,
Part
what
of-
if this doesn't age well?
And part of this is, and the thing is, we saw a lot of the shark at the end, right?
Right.
But I thought it was so cool that like you didn't get to see the shark
No.
for a solid hour and a half. Like that is such a cool storytelling thing, and I wish that we would frickin' do it again.
Yeah, and so there are a lot of film theorists that talk about Jaws, and they're like, oh, it ended up that way because the shark didn't work really good, so they just couldn't have as much of it in the first part of the movie. And that is, I think, complete
Bullshit,
because
yeah.
he's in a shit ton of the third
Yes.
act. And what it was Spielberg looking at things like Hitchcock, like I mentioned earlier, Psycho,
Yeah.
Yep.
where it's about what you don't show,
you don't
Right.
show.
and what that
Right.
inspires in an audience's mind. So I think that's total bullshit.
Yeah.
and
I
it
think
makes
was
the
pretty-
reveal that much more
right. He shows you
horrific.
the shark.
Yeah.
and just
you
like in
gotta
Psycho,
wait.
you see Mother, but it's
Right.
not till the very, end.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
that's
Spoilers.
the
No.
yeah, spoiler.
Yeah,
You haven't seen
spoilers on like
Psycho.
a
I actually
70-year-old
actually
movie.
haven't seen Psycho.
Okay, well,
I know,
Are you kidding me?
Put it on the
No,
list.
there's a reason I have
Did I
this
just
podcast.
spoil this for you?
I already knew.
Okay.
Well, that one's another.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty
Sure.
famous.
Yeah.
Pretty famous. Somebody on must have been, I'm trying to think, where probably Blue Sky was like had a post for Mother's Day that just says time to get Mother out of the closet. Anyway, so that opening, just right from the opening scene with Chrissy getting pulled under the water, such a visceral fear that like
Yes.
like that was a really well established, like a well shot bit
Yes.
and well acted.
So she was actually hooked up to a rig.
That
I
makes
believe
sense.
that was like it was like a mechanical rig that held her in by her waist.
Sure.
And actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Mitch. Is this the film where like she actually did like dislocate a rib or something?
Oh, I think she was. Yeah,
in actual pain.
She was in actual pain.
But then
and
I remember, I think I remember
at very
this.
least she was uncomfortable.
Somebody had asked, like, well, okay, well, let's stop. And then she said, oh, no, that was great. Use it. Like,
Yeah.
this is really good.
Yeah, that's
So,
cool. No,
but
she definitely did a
yes.
good job.
It's cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. What's a home phone? Sorry, he picks
What's
up
a
like the
home
phone.
phone?
It was
Yes.
so funny. I'm
What's a
like, yeah.
landline?
Oh, that's
I
right. We're in the
love that.
70s. It's so good. It really sets a slice of time and place. It's so good.
I love when Spielberg, he does this a bunch where he'll layer just miscellaneous dialogue in
Slice
Yeah.
of
in
life
one room.
dialogue.
where
Yeah.
the you know the where
Ellen.
where Ellen is talking to their son in the background and getting him patched up, and then he's on the phone, and it's just he does that, and it makes it
Because
feel
that's real.
so
Yeah.
authentic.
Yeah.
That's what would be happening.
That style of audio too doesn't happen much in movies anymore, where it's very focused, which I get, like people like that. That's become the current auteur feeling of the moment with
Right.
that like hyper focus, hyper close, hyper. I think Spielberg really mastered the art of the medium shot, and he definitely sometimes does things to me that feel sort of like a straight play.
Yeah.
You know, like layered conversations happening. It's kind of like he took the idea of like a play and dropped a camera and moved it
Right.
around in there. And I love that. Like for me, like
Yeah.
as my only acting training was in stage plays. So for me, I love when those kinds of things merge, because it really does feel very,
like voyeuristic.
Yeah,
almost.
exactly.
And it kind of almost reminds me of sort of like a documentary kind of like
Yeah.
situation, because it's like they just set a
Yeah.
camera down, and
Yeah.
even with scenes at the beach, like, or scenes when he's in his in the sheriff's office when he
Right.
first gets there,
Right.
it's like that's what would happen if somebody
Yep.
just put a camera down and started recording.
Cinema verite.
Yes.
Yes, that's it. Oh,
yeah.
thank you for bringing back the actual terminology.
Sorry, that's
Well
just
done.
for the
Well
record.
I
Well
wasn't.
done.
I wasn't paying attention in film school because I was too busy complaining about how an animation major doesn't need to be in a theory class. Well, a theory class for
Live action.
action film.
I
should
see.
say.
But you're so right. I mean, so he really mastered certain types of setups. And,
Right.
and one thing that you see several times in this movie, and he does it a lot in Raiders of the Lost Ark and other Spielberg films, he will...
Yeah.
Also, John Williams.
Yep.
Yeah, dynamic duo.
So good.
Exactly.
He will just let a scene play out, super long shot length,
Yeah.
and he will, through blocking, set up a number of different shots in one take.
Big
Yes.
take. Okay.
Just through the movement of the actors and the camera.
Okay.
And it's so subtle that you don't even acknowledge
Really
it.
acknowledge
I mean,
it.
there were ones I've seen this, I don't know how many times. There's still shit that I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
he doesn't
Never
cut
noticed
there.
that. Yeah.
There's
It's a
so
clever
much-
movement.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's so layered. Like, yeah, and that's just like the level of stuff happening. It is especially in Act 1, like it was an amazing amount of like the busyness and the
Yes.
chaos, and yeah, it was,
the
it was
4th
cool.
of July thing
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
World building, my God.
Yeah. All right. So I love the police truck without a roof. That was fantastic. And I also loved that every single person out at the beach trying to deal with the Chrissy Remain situation is falling in the sand. Brilliant.
Yes.
Just a brilliant,
They're just nope.
brilliant thing. Fucking crabs, man.
Those crabs.
Those crabs.
And see, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like when you think about like what's actually happening.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
like,
but you see so little.
all you see is just a bunch of crabs.
Right, but
Yeah.
you can imagine.
But you can
What's
imagine.
underneath it? It's
Wonderful.
visceral. Yeah. Yeah.
It's gross. I love it.
Probable cause. It's gross. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Probable cause. Shark attack.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
So good.
That became kind of a trope. I don't
Yeah,
know
it
if it's
did.
from that movie, but the close up of a
Typewriter
Yeah.
typing in
some
something
sort of
relevant.
really important
yeah.
piece of information.
Yeah. I haven't used this word this month yet, so I'm gonna say it now. I loved the sleepy town environment. but it's juxtaposed against the insanity of Chief Brody's like situation that day.
Yes.
Like getting prepped up, people are everywhere, downtown is packed, people are following him around as he's trying to deal with something. Like it was such a great
Right.
smashing of two different like ideas
Totally.
all at the same time.
Yeah, like try and tell me, can you remember anything that any of the extras or NPCs were
Yeah.
trying to tell him?
Right.
No, and
No.
that's so good at focusing on
Yeah.
him in that moment
Yeah.
that you don't even know what the people are saying
It was
to him.
profoundly overwhelming.
It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it was super fun.
Because you're so focused on what is he trying to figure out.
Right.
He's got to get there. He's
Right.
got to go get the signs to the beach. He's got to go do this. You know.
Yeah, everyone's been in a situation,
Situation like that.
That is, and to hit you-
Sometimes even today.
Yeah. sometimes just a couple hours ago.
I loved Brody's glasses. I want Brody's
Right.
glasses. That's a bad hat, Harry.
That's
Bad
a bad
hat,
hat, Harry.
Some bad
So
hat.
good. Okay. Favorite, I think maybe the favorite shot of the entire movie is him seeing the like shark approaching
Yeah.
for the shark attack happening with the kid and the dolly zoom.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Oh,
That is
yeah.
one
Incredible.
of the very best dolly zoom utilizations I maybe have ever seen. It was so
It's up there with like Fellowship of the Ring.
ring, yeah. Like, but that level of like showing a panic moment,
Yes.
so good. Oh, I was just absolutely blown away by it.
And that's another Hitchcock,
Yes,
Yes.
a Hitchcock. There is so much pulled from Hitchcock.
or rather
with this.
his
Yeah.
cinematographers anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then the introduction to Quint is phenomenal.
Oh.
He's just sitting there. Like, first of all, the freaking finger
Like, you know, this man is.
unhinged that he's willing to just like do a full on like fingernail scratch on the chalkboard. Ugh, my teeth hurt. And then
Your teeth hurt?
Yeah, that's what that does to my.
teeth.
That's when I hear the.
my.
Yeah, it's like specifically in my mouth.
I feel
yeah.
like my butt cheeks.
Interesting.
I love that. I love that. There's so much good lore you guys are getting right now. This is so good. So he does this, like, first of all, he does that, and then he's just sitting there cross-legged eating something, and just being like, you all know me, and we're like, who the
No, we don't.
No,
Tell
who the
us.
fuck are Please let me know. And it's just, oh man, it's so good. That performance.
It steals the show.
It steals the show 100%.
So something I don't think I realized before, I'm 99% sure I'm right about this. When they walk into that boardroom, the chalkboard is blank. And then they
Yes.
show
Yes.
Quint that shot. So that means I'm assuming that Quint drew that
shark.
on
That
the
is what,
chalkboard.
that was my interpretation as well. That he had drawn the little shark on shark on chalkboard.
I just love that.
So good.
I love that so much.
Yes, it was just every part of it. Everything is just a great piece of world building, and I couldn't get over it. You want to get drunk and fool around? That's fine. But
it's natural dialogue.
they had great dialogue.
They
It
have,
was such a
'cause
good.
you can tell that this couple has
loves
a
each other.
history.
Yeah,
You know.
Yeah, it was great. Swim, Charlie. I don't remember what that was relating to.
Oh,
It's
those
fine.
are the two fishermen.
Oh,
that they
yes.
threw the roast
Yes.
out into
oh
the
my
water.
god, and they got pulled in with the dog.
Can we go home now?
Can we go home? Yeah, oh my god. Pouring out for the dog on the boat. Yeah, when everyone's out in the water chumming and everything.
and then
there's
the
just
dog,
there's this
yeah.
one old yellow lab that's just like, I don't want to be here. I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm so sorry. The shark hunt mania, like, that was such an interesting phenomenon. It was sort of like there was kind of
Yes.
two elements of the humanity, like the kind of the humans being the bad guy. There's like obviously like the mayor doing the things the mayor did was, you know, like you see it coming a mile away. Yeah, he doesn't want to hurt business, and so he's going to make a judgment call that's not great. And then you've also got like the hysteria around, like from the townspeople, and it kind of shows up both in no one wanting to go in the water and also everyone trying to catch the shark.
And then also the scene when they first do catch that tiger shark.
Right.
When the grieving mother
Yes.
shows up. And that is what really pulls it down. And
Right.
it's a very sobering moment.
Yeah.
Where I think Chief Brody then is like, okay, enough's
I'm
enough.
done.
We're not
no,
pussyfooting around with this guy
exactly.
anymore. Like,
yep.
And
we're going for it.
It's a very important scene, I think, because
Right.
I think without it, the film might be guilty of just being cheesy and being void of emotion, if you will.
Yeah, I think that is true. You have to have that first half of the movie. The first movie has to happen for the second movie to make sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of I would say in the 70s and 80s there was a long string of really bad quality disaster movies, which honestly I kind of love them because that is the kind of person I am.
Poseidon Adventure,
right? Like there is
Inferno.
I'm trying to think.
They're great.
The Abyss.
Yeah, there's a
A
lot.
lot in the 90s, too.
And I will say a lot of that happened from Jaws.
Jaws, yeah. And so it's fun to go back and look at when I'm like, oh, I see. This was the exception, not the rule.
Yes.
Where people jumped right into the disaster part and didn't write a good story around it. Whereas this has so much actual depth and layering, and it just you feel it right away.
While you're on that, I will also say that this became a huge prototype for horror, for like teen horror movies too in the 80s.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
You've got like the promiscuous teenagers at the beginning. Guess what's gonna happen to them?
I know what you. It's got. I know what you did last summer written all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it does become a prototype for that kind of really cheap horror of the 80s. Later on.
No, I think that's super.
Often
super
set near a beach.
Yeah, exactly. I also love the New England energy is such a specific vibe.
Yeah.
Is Amityville supposed to be in like Massachusetts?
It's more like Nantucket Island.
Nantucket, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
And it does such a good job of portraying itself as cold and warm at the same time.
It really does.
Because so many people are wearing sweaters, but they're also swimming.
That's so good. It's such a vibe. It really, being a person that grew up in Minnesota and spend some time on the North Shore of Lake Superior, there is a sort of similarity.
Hot, cold,
like that. Like it can get hot up there in the summer, but it's very much that same kind of nautical feel. Small houses on the near the water, and it's just it has a similar kind of vibe to it. It was nice. I think. Have either of you ever seen The Lighthouse?
Why just spill your
I think you're. Why the
we don't have time. We don't have time.
But let's just keep it at this. Mitch loves it. I appreciate it, but it drives me nuts.
It's because I just keep saying, why just spill your beans? It's good. If you haven't seen it,
It's a good film.
have like
It's
6
a
or
good
7
film.
drinks
It's-
and then watch it
It is ridiculous.
on a stormy
though.
night.
I actually, my first time
ridiculous.
watching it, my first and only time watching it, I watched it with a good friend of mine who we made nautical themed cocktails and watched it, and it was so fun. It was such a fun time. But yeah, it's weird. It's
fucking weird.
But
love it so much.
It's great. And actually, there is a flip the script eventually on the calendar for it because Megan has not seen it. Megan has not seen it. So that's
holy shit.
maybe.
Well, that's gonna be
in the
fun.
future,
You're
I'm
gonna love it.
Don't invite me to that one
No,
because I
that's
won't
fine.
shut up
We'll-
during the screening about how many problems I have with it.
Oh, it's so good. Okay. So, I think we established that Hooper is the Jeff Goldblum of the movie.
Matt Hooper
Yeah.
is one of my favorite fictional characters
He's
in the
great.
world. He has the most amazing sense of sass.
Yeah.
His outfits, like the jeans and the sweater situation with the hexagonal glasses. I love it. He's who I'm trying to be.
I understand. That's very understandable. He does have Biowink energy. I
He
get
does.
it.
And
Yeah.
he is, again, he also kind of acts as a tether because when people are being ridiculous, he just laughs at them.
He does. That is actually a great point. He is fun because he is sort of the logical, like in some ways.
Like,
He's not-
hello,
he's
come
not,
on,
he's
people.
not perfect, but yeah, like he just like when he says something ridiculously stupid
They're
from
all
like a
gonna
political
die.
perspective, he just goes, okay, yeah, all right, great, I'm gonna go. Like it's so good. Just like Jeff Goldblum, who also would laugh.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good. Yeah, good.
Because there is
Point.
there is a part of me
Scientist
that's
who is
like-
also sassy.
right. Like I
well,
thought
and that also being a Spielberg
the
movie.
Spielberg
Yes,
movie,
Jurassic Park,
that
yeah.
is a disaster Spielberg movie.
He fills that similar niche.
and
Are
so
you suggesting that
that there is a
that there-
direct link between?
I think
there is.
I've never thought
saying
about
that
it, but yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss
was-
could be what's
the
his
Ian
name?
Malcolm?
Yes.
Yeah.
If they'd made Jurassic Park in 1975,
I genuinely, the whole time I was watching this movie, I'm just like, oh,
Jurassic Park.
this and Jurassic Park have so much in common, and I don't know which one. Like, I have to think about like what I prefer. You know what I mean?
One is definitely grander than the other.
Yeah.
though.
If you held a harpoon to my head and tried to make me
It'd
pick
be hard.
between this and Jurassic Park,
It would be Jaws.
Fair.
I'm sorry.
That's fair.
I think it really just comes down to what
No, I'm not
environment do you like better? Do you
Yes.
like the
Yeah.
New England thing, or do you like
Yeah.
like the jungle?
I think
Or do you like Richard Dreyfuss or do you like Jeff Goldblum?
Jeff Goldblum.
pick your bi icon.
Yeah.
I think truly. I think which bisexual scientist do you prefer?
Sassy, humorous, intellectual.
Or just only Riz?
Oh,
All
like Riz.
Riz all the time.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's tough because it depends on. Yeah, I think to your point, like it depends on what you prefer from an environmental standpoint, and I also think that Jurassic Park is less subtle about its effects.
Yes.
And I think that its effects hold up maybe better, which is shocking considering
Well, it's important
the age. Yeah.
for the film.
Yeah, it's super critical to the film, and it is the fact that they did it is unbelievable.
Yes.
I think that the story for Jaws is arguably better.
Yeah, it's
like,
definitely more important.
It's more important, and I think there's better. This is kind of shitty, but I think maybe like the acting and like the three actors together and that sort of like one act play kind of like crazy shit happening kind of vibe is, I think, more compelling from a writing standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think that like from a grand scale and like a full spectacle, I think Jurassic Park is kind of hard to match in retrospect.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest difference. Is Jurassic
Yeah.
Park focuses more on the action piece,
And
set
spectacle,
pieces, and
yeah.
the spectacle of it. Yeah.
Also based on a novel.
It is.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah, Michael Crichton, who also did Westworld.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. Anyway, these are the kinds of
No,
tangents.
that's good.
These are the good tangents I love on this show. You might want to let that breathe. Pouring the red wine into his tumbler.
Nope.
So good. I loved it. 2 shots of vodka. Glug, glug,
Two
glug, glug.
shots of vodka.
So good. Can you go?
My
cut the shark
husband
open.
tells me you're into sharks. You're in sharks.
You're in sharks.
Yes.
I've never heard it said that way before. It's so good. Again, that's great natural dialogue. It's
'cause then they start laughing about
it. Oh, it was so. I love the characters were so lovable,
great.
and I think that was the biggest thing is the characters in this movie were way more lovable than in Jurassic Park.
Even though
right?
Quint is psychotic.
It's psychotic.
You love him.
You feel so you feel so much for him by
Yes,
the
you
end.
do.
And you kind of experience that through his changing relationship with Hooper.
Yeah.
And his opening up
He's
to
opening
his
up
trauma.
to his trauma. Yeah, it was a really shocking turn of events that I wasn't
It is.
expecting. I love are you guys you can cut open the shark? I can do anything I want. I'm the chief of police. And they're just like really kind of drunk, gonna go cut open a shark. Phenomenal. The spotlight on the boat. So like that whole sequence, they find the boat in the water, like
Oh my
Titanic
gosh.
style.
Yeah.
That was such good like filmmaking.
The
You know?
the only true jump scare, if you will.
the dolly shot. It's a dolly to the right along the edge of the boat where you
Yes.
see the bite out of it.
Yes.
Yes.
And the light and all the
But
lens
Like
flare.
it's like
behind it.
silhouetting
Plus,
it. Yes.
there's like a John Williams like musical Sting.
Sting that-
That is to me
And you can
the quintessential like Spielberg shot.
Yeah, it made me feel tingly, like with like
Exactly.
and then you can see the spotlights like through the
So much
windows
tension.
and like the ambience
You see the
in
broken
air.
glass.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
So
it
good.
and that's why
literally
that jump
makes me
scare
shiver.
is so effective because they
yeah.
build all this tension.
Well, and the other
and then
thing is-
it's like, whoa, floating
Yeah.
body, and then you
Yeah.
get another musical sting.
musical stinger. The other thing that I think is interesting, and we were talking about that a little bit during it, was I know you were like, do I tell him about this jump scare or just let him
Well,
experience it?
I didn't want.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people
And-
don't like them.
No, and I don't like them generally, but I'm actually very glad you didn't warn me
Okay.
because it was, to be
Good.
frank, it was interesting because the movie itself doesn't really have any jump scares otherwise.
No, you can kind of see it coming.
Like we talked about, Bruce has a fucking Bluetooth speaker on his back, so you don't really ever have
and he's also 25 feet long.
And you're just like, oh, there's a giant fucking shark coming at me. Like, the horror is very different
Yes.
than just like surprise dead face. Like
Yes.
that isn't like that is the only time that happens, and that is not what the movie puts its horror on.
And for our listeners, I do also want to point out, I was sitting next to Ian on the
Yes.
couch. He did jump.
I did jump,
and I felt the vibration on the other end of the couch.
I did absolutely. It was a jumpiest of jump scares. It got me real good. And which is funny, I should have known that because I even knew that head prop
Right.
existed.
You're like, this
I
is
should have
coming.
I should have expected it, and I still didn't. It was
and
hilarious.
you can see the signs, but
Yeah, you
you're
just
just
didn't.
so immersed.
I was immersed. It
Yes.
was such good. Oh god, it's good filmmaking. I sound so irritating right now. Okay, moving on. And then the underwater shots were also good as part of that.
Yes. The eye acting from Richard Dreyfuss underwater, incredible.
So good.
Because obviously he can't talk.
No.
And you hear like the muffled sound of him
Yes, the
screaming,
underwater
and his
part.
eyes are like, whoa,
Right,
like, you know.
Right. Oh, it's so
It's good stuff.
So good. The mayor is quite a
Oh, fuck that guy.
yeah, and he's quite a composite of like things, like people that like
You know,
and like decisions that you've seen in the
Something
past.
that he
He does it so well.
always
Yeah.
pisses me off is when they are in the hospital
Yep.
and it finally becomes real to him.
Yep.
And he just goes, Brody, my kids were on that beach too. And I'm like, well, if you just clearly didn't care.
Until you didn't notice until it was your kids. It's
Yeah,
just such
like,
a
stop it.
He does the smarmy, the like
Yes.
all the elements of him, and like he's trying to make what seems like a decision that makes the most sense for the most people, and then like he's like, wait, but it might have hurt my kids, and it's like that was the point. It could have hurt anyone else's kids, and I think that was and Brody did such a good. He was such a. And that's part of like the reason that you just like look up to him as such a likable character is, the grieving mother comes up and slaps him across the face and accuses him of being, the guy that made the decision not to close the
Right.
beach while standing right next to the mayor,
one who actually
Yeah,
decided.
He literally,
yeah.
it's the definition of turn the other cheek, right?
Yeah.
And he just took it, and the mayor was just like.
He didn't own up to anything.
No, he was like, Brody, I'm sorry. And she's wrong. And Brody's like, no, she's not. Like, it's super good. Like, just the mayor got to watch someone have integrity.
Yes.
And got to just see that. And Brody,
Even though
took
it
that.
wasn't his fault, really.
It wasn't. But he also
understands that it is
Right.
It is in the end his responsibility.
Even though it goes against, like, whatever his superiors may say.
And
Yeah.
there's something very impactful about the person that told him not to, standing right next to him while he had to handle those consequences.
Right.
It was just really very, very
He's a true,
And
like...
it's relatable.
Yes,
I mean,
super
shit like
relatable.
that happens all
He's a good
the
person,
time.
He's a
you
good
know.
person.
In life and in
Yeah.
work, sometimes the buck just stops
with you.
And there's sometimes you just got to eat it.
You got to eat it. Yep, exactly. It was just very relatable and made him very likable as a character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't lash out at her.
No.
He just
No,
takes
he just
it.
stands there and takes it.
He lets her get her grief out.
He knew what she needs.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I'm trying to. There's some of these notes are not useful. Let me keep going. Oh, and then then they get to that scene finally where everything hits the fan. The second time the shark shows up, everyone gets out safe, and then it's time, right? And I wrote the mayor's crashing out.
Oh my gosh! And he like is muttering to himself.
So, yeah, he's is not doing well.
No.
And then that was what I was asking earlier about the runtime, because it was
yes.
it was over an hour into the film before we actually got a look at the shark,
Yes.
which was so great. It was such a great reveal to see it.
With also my favorite shot in the movie is when Chief Brody first sees him, when he's just tying off some ropes, and all of a sudden shark just pops out of the water and he snaps up
And he just-
like a cartoon character.
Yeah, it just backs
Just like
up.
oh, and it's kind of like the look you give when you're like down on the floor doing something and there's a spider right there and you're like, huh, that's exactly what that is.
That was, I can only imagine, like once you become a homeowner, you see shit that you wish you'd never seen, and
Yes.
that I've definitely that has
Yes.
been the reaction I have had. In
he's-
fact, like the anecdote that I will say is this was jump back to about a year ago. I was it was the night before I was driving out to visit y'all the last time, and I was looking for a iLock key, which is to unlock Pro Tools, and we were going to work on your album, right? Mm-hmm. And available at bandcamp.com.
Quick plug.
Quick plug.
Thanks,
Sorry.
Ian.
Yeah, you're welcome. I couldn't find this iLock key, which it was going to take 3 or 4 days and $75 to get the license moved over, and it's annoying. It's an annoying thing. And which I ended up finding a solution around that, but I went to the basement my old house to go in and try to look for it. And I walk across and all of a sudden my foot is just wet, soaked. And I'm standing there and I stop. It was an exact
and you're like, please no.
Where there isn't a lot of reaction. It's me mostly just kind of investigating. And I realized that the whole basement on the one side is just in at least 2 or 3 inches of water. And it was one of those things where I just took off my socks,
okay,
backed up, and I went up to my roommate and I was like, "Hey, so
we have a situation,
and I could use your help.
We're gonna need a bigger.
We're gonna need a
house.
bigger.
You're gonna
house.
need a bigger
We're gonna
house.
Need a bigger house. It was exactly that same.
Have a bigger house. Little national treasure.
Oh my God.
Quoting
God.
there.
Yes. Oh man.
Obligatory.
One day we'll just do if this podcast ever gets to the point where we can have a Patreon, there's just going to be a day where it's a live watch of all of us watching National Treasure. So good. I love it so much. And then anyway, so half of this shit seems like it's just gonna be Quint quotes from here on out. No, here's to someone with bow-legged women. I'm like, what does that even mean, Quint? Quint, you're crazy.
He just has all of these old things
God.
that make sense to him.
But
don't make sense to anyone else.
Yeah, like a lexicon of weird New England fisherman stuff.
Or that was stuff from the army or whatever.
That was
or
definitely,
Navy.
I wondered if there was an element that Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse, kind of went a little bit to the Quint book of nautical acting. It was so fun.
Quint School of Nautical Acting.
It was just
and
insane.
of course his beautiful monologue then, where he retells. We need to hold on.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that.
Yeah.
So up until that point, you're like, this guy's just a fuckface, right?
Right.
We hate this guy.
Crazy, yeah.
And then he tells this story that's incredibly humanizing.
Right.
And Mitch, I think you can do this better, but tell me about what Robert Shaw, when they did that take. I think you had said that he kind of
There's a lot of lore specifically about that scene.
Okay.
So I'm not sure to what extent that monologue exists in the book.
Okay.
But there were a few versions of it in the screenplay.
Okay.
And so they got to the point where they were shooting that scene. It was, maybe the day before they were shooting it. And it was way too long.
Okay.
And they were just like, we need to just whittle this down. So I think the common understanding is that they gave it to Robert Shaw. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, tonight, just, whatever you think, chop it down, just condense it.
Right.
Whatever you think is best for the character.
Yeah.
And then they came in the next day.
Yeah.
And shot 2 takes.
Whoa.
And that's pretty much the scene. I don't know, and looking at the way it's shot, I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe did more than that.
Okay.
But there's certainly the bulk of it is 2 takes. And one, if you look at his eyes, he is shit-faced drunk.
Oh, absolutely. He certainly is.
And I believe that's been corroborated
that he actually
by crew that he was for one of those takes. Absolutely wasted.
Wow.
And I believe, and the cool thing about that is during that monologue scene, you look at Richard Dreyfuss and what's his name? Roy Scheider. Yeah. They're truly reacting in the moment, especially Richard Dreyfuss sitting in the shot with him.
And he doesn't fucking move.
No,
for
because
the
he's
entire
like,
couple
this
minutes.
is golden.
No. He is frozen. So your eyes are on Robert Shaw the entire time.
That is I love, and that's another thing that we don't do a lot of anymore, because everything seems, if there's a long piece of
like a monologue.
Yeah, there's a long piece of lore or a long piece of exposition. Usually it's there's a cutaway or something.
Right.
This
Reaction shots.
This is just a camera on a man spinning
Slow
you
zoom,
a tale.
yes.
And you just take it in.
Yeah.
And there's little nautical noises in the background.
I mean, they put the camera where Brody is standing. For all intents and purposes, you are Brody.
And you do get a few of his reaction shots from Brody, mainly.
But they wait.
But they do wait.
A while.
They let him get it out. Which, again, that is it's inspired by a true story. That event did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the USS Indianapolis.
Just an unbelievable story and a great, just an awesome tie-in. And just really,
of real historic events.
Which explains, so, like you said, Katie, very humanizing. His character, suddenly you're like, that's
he just has
why
PTSD.
Explains the Captain Jack Sparrow.
Right, exactly.
Which that hadn't occurred to me before, but as I was watching it, I do think that Johnny Depp pulled a lot of that from Quint. It just never really occurred to me, but there's a certain incomprehensible
a little you kind of, they're enjoyable, but you also are like, you're not
are fucked up.
Something's wrong here.
Do you have syphilis? And actually it
guarantee that he has syphilis.
Canonical that Captain Jack Sparrow does have syphilis.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's
oh my gosh, that's right. You were telling me about that.
There's a wound on his neck or something, and it gets bigger throughout the movies. It's so funny. And so the man is slowly dying of syphilis. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Yeah. But with Quint though, during that story, he does say that's why I'll never wear a life vest ever again. Right. And then near the end, when shit really hits the fan,
he throws them life vests.
He gives them life vests, but he doesn't put one on.
Yeah, it's
not
great.
that was going to save him, but
no, amazing.
Yeah,
amazing.
That's an anti-shark.
It's an anti-shark life vest.
Top 10 anime deaths is Quint being eaten by the jaws.
Oh,
there is a scene there I want to get to later.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
Let's keep moving. Stop playing with yourself, Hooper.
Stop playing with yourself, Hooper.
So good. We're gonna need a bigger boat.
Of course.
Great line. There is one. I have one actual gripe about this movie. Just one.
Let's hear it.
Okay. There is a. Let me find the. Where's the line? Oh, okay. So there's this bit where they're talking about. They're making a decision. They're trying to do something, and I can't remember. I didn't write down the actual dialogue that was being said, but it was something that Brody was saying. It was like a discussion, and it fades to black. It fades out.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
On the boat?
Yes.
I don't recall that.
It's like Brody is. He's kind of like mid complaint to Quint, and it does a quick fade out.
It fades out and to me, I don't know if that was a directorial choice or it was like an editing constraint choice.
I think it was.
That's what I think, because to me it's like, I'm like, that's some bullshit I pulled in film school.
Yeah.
To like another scene. Yeah. It's really disorienting. I was genuinely disoriented.
I didn't even notice it.
Cuts to it's in between the shots of Quint out on the pulpit of the ship.
Yeah.
Where he's sitting there swaying back and forth, and it's Brody saying something to him, and then it fades to another shot of Quint
inside.
Against like a really vibrant, the sun setting.
Time had passed.
Yeah.
I just wished, and I think I do
get
think
one reaction shot.
I think it was an editing constraint.
Yeah, I think they were trying to just cut with what they had.
Right.
There's probably a more elegant way to do
that. Yeah, I would not have been happy with it.
I bet Spielberg thinks about it
every night. Yeah. It is a weird edit, and it pulled me out for like a full 2 minutes, and then I was
exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's why it has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, not 100%.
It's that cut, and it's the goddamn Citizen Kane squawking parrot thing. There's a sequence where suddenly a parrot just appears and jump scares you and squawks.
Citizen Kane?
That doesn't happen in
Jaws. The first time I saw that, I was pretty young when I saw it. I was like, what the fuck was that?
That's what I was saying about the whole movie. Honestly, Citizen Kane
is weird. One. Yep.
There, I said it.
Yep. Give me.
Don't at me. Yeah. Don't at me.
I already had to give up my film school card for disliking Pulp Fiction. So.
Oh, please. I'll just put this out there. I don't like films that are weird just for the sake of being weird. Hence, I'm looking at you, Lighthouse. Like I just.
We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to
I don't have time.
We don't have that.
No, we don't. Or enough liquor.
I literally wrote "Eat Your Heart Out, Captain Jack Sparrow."
Yes.
I was like, "Whoa, Quint has a backstory." It was so good. And then so shit starts hitting the fan, right? With like Bruce is now starting to come after them. It's a whole thing, and the lamp falls to the ground, and like the fire hits the deck, and it's starting to go
right.
And all this shit's happening. And in any normal nautical situation, a fire starting on a boat is the biggest problem, right?
Yes.
And it tells you a lot about the gravity of the situation where Quint goes, "Chief, put out the fire, will you?" Like it was like he said it with such calmness and clarity. It was so funny.
Like,
we have
what
bigger
could
problems to
possibly, and what could possibly be worse?
Right,
Like,
exactly. Like, it was just like, this is the least of my problems.
exactly.
John Williams works his ass off throughout the rest of the film from this point. Like, there is so much story being told through the score. I'm not going to rehash it because we've talked a lot about it already, but oh my God.
Yeah. Big time.
And then you got all the smoke. The Pope is both chosen and not chosen, depending on what part of the boat
depending
you're
on
looking
what
at.
part of the boat you're in. Yes.
Black
Exactly.
smoke from the orca.
Yeah. So Orca is not well. And then Brody finally says, "We're gonna sink, aren't we?" And that was such a great line.
Like when they're Quint and Hooper are already up and like by the helm.
Yeah.
And he's down there like with the bilge
the
pump.
boat.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
And then he just
He's
looks
like,
around. He's like, "What the fuck am I doing?
I'm gonna go up there.
What am I doing down
on
here?
the ground,
So
on
good.
deck, and
The
climbs
acting
up.
is so good. I literally. That's my next note. There is some seriously good acting happening on this boat.
Oh my God.
Unreal. The three of those guys, I would love to know like the relationship that those three guys actually had with each other. Like, like I don't know, like I can't. They all seem like they were kind of from different. Like the actual actors seem like they had very different
Robert
backgrounds.
Shaw, I believe, was a very
seasoned-
gentle, seasoned
Oh, really?
actor.
He did a lot of,
Level-headed person.
He did a lot of Shakespearean.
Yes, like a
Okay, that
thespian.
tracks.
Yeah.
And
Like,
so
he's, like,
it's
British, right?
insane
Yeah.
because his character is very
Absolutely
far
unhinged.
from that,
But
and
he
that
kinda-
always is entertaining
He
to me.
kind of plays it a little classically trained, a little Shakespearean.
He does.
He's
Yeah.
kind of a character. It's very stage performance kind of vibe.
It's
Yes.
pretty
Character,
He's playing
yeah.
to the back of the house,
Right.
for sure. He really does.
definitely doing
He
that.
hams it up,
Yeah.
but it works.
works. It
I
works.
really buy
really
it.
does.
I'm really like, oh
I
no,
do.
you're actually drunk.
You
and
just-
actually crazy.
You just read a book, actually. What was it called? The book you read about Quint?
Yeah, well, this, I guess, shout out to the Book of Quint, which
Oh,
is
yes, the Book of Quint.
it would be a disservice to call it fan fiction, but it's a heavily researched prequel novel that was written by a super fan of Jaws. And the book is called Book of Quint, and it's essentially Quint's like life story leading up to the plot,
that's cool.
based on like context clues that
Right.
this guy, I think his name's Ryan Dacko, I think,
Right.
researched
Yeah.
extensively. But yeah, it adds a lot of color and flavor to the story, which
Yes.
it did enhance my
Experience.
Yeah,
experience.
because would this
Your
have been
viewing
would this have been your first viewing
Yeah.
since reading the book?
yeah.
Nice.
So I mean, everything that he puts in the book is really pulled from context clues.
And
Right.
is beneficial
within
to the
novel.
original source
So
material,
it
I
feels
imagine.
very, and it was authorized by Peter Benchley, the
Nice.
author, too.
So it's canonical then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why not.
That's pretty crazy. Can you
just,
imagine having
you
a
know.
fanfic that gets signed off by your...
Yeah,
Like, that's by
you
the
know,
author.
it spends a lot of time about like him on the USS Indianapolis and the actual
sure.
disaster. You go through it with Quint, and you just get a little more like visceral
Yeah.
understanding
No, that's super cool.
of his background.
Huh.
Yeah,
I love that.
shout out Book of Quint.
Yeah, nice. I also loved that things just go to full shit, and Quint finally just looks at Hooper and goes, "Is there anything we can do?" like what do you got?
He's
Can you
finally
make things
giving
happen?
him a chance.
to work on stuff.
Yes, the playing field has been leveled.
Yeah, well, you see how quickly their
Yes.
trust builds
I
with each
did
other.
love the initial
Yes.
irritation between the two of them because they butted heads because they had different ideas, but it was fun. Like obviously we kind of walked through because we were talking a lot about the monologue, but before that was like they were in the wound compare thing, and they're both very
Their dick
drunk.
measuring contest.
Right, very yes, exactly. And Brody just kind of watching in amusement.
And then
while
he
they do
looks
that.
at and then he looks
Brilliant.
at his own little
It's like it's like
under
a
his shirt. He's
appendix
like,
scar.
"Whoa."
Yeah.
which
Right.
is just so fucking.
He's
funny.
like, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
show this.
It's a great bit of physical acting. It's a great bit of character building with
Yes.
each other. You love these two characters even more because they found a mutual respect for each other. It was a great
Right.
thing. I just wanted to kind of call that back because it was great. But yeah, so that was fun to watch that, and then from that point, it's just one giant craziness through till the end. Like it ramps up, and once you get to the point where you put the shark tank in the water, or the shark cage in the water, like shit is off the rails. Like it never stops. And then the full animatronics and like this. Okay, we need to talk about the shark in the shark
They're talking about the
cage.
shark in the room.
Yeah, the real shark in the room.
His
yeah.
IKEA shark cage.
Oh, you mean the shots of
Shark cage.
So I'm fairly
Falls
certain that is a real shark.
Well, there are scenes
where they used
there
real sharks.
Gotta be.
Because some of that looks way too natural.
There's no way.
The one where he's doing a death
rolling.
roll. Yeah,
Like that's a
gotta
shark.
be real.
Has to be.
So somehow they got it.
My
they did it
my
like
prey
SeaWorld
nature was
or-
kicking in. I'm like, that's a predator.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that's an animatronic.
Right.
The only and I don't know why people
Let's find
feel
out.
the need to criticize the Bruce effect. I mean, I know that they had mechanical issues and there was, salt corrosion and things weren't working and gears weren't turning and chains were rusting.
Right.
But by God, the only one I could maybe criticize is where he leaps up on the
Yeah, and
aft end
it
of the
looks
ship.
very puppety.
Yeah, just for
but
it's one shot.
Generally, I never at any point questioned it. Like it was not a. And also, fun fact: cheesy effects does not ruin a movie.
Right.
Like that. Genuinely, I don't think it has to be utter photoreal perfection.
Right.
To as long as you don't see tubes and shit. Like I don't care.
To me, I would take this a million times over a completely CGI shark because I know that it's authentic and the actors are reacting
to it. I think that's the biggest thing is like that everything that's happening on that boat is really happening, and that is so fun to watch.
Yeah. If that was all CGI, I would not enjoy it nearly as much.
Okay,
No.
so I have some answers here.
Yes.
So it says, according to sources,
Yes. Sources. We'll link
that
them down in the comments below.
the real shark footage, it says, was shot by some underwater cinematographers.
Okay.
And they did capture some scenes of great white sharks. However, the mechanical shark was way larger than any real great white shark. So what they did is they used a smaller scale cage
I wondered
and
about
used
that.
a shorter stunt double.
Got
So
it.
it was actually a little person in scuba gear. And they
scaled it down.
They did. And then also the sequence that we're talking about where he's doing the roll with the empty shark cage, that is a real shark. And it said it used real shark footage. This scene was cleverly edited to blend with the footage of the mechanical shark and actors shot on the set. So it's like it was kind of like smart editing and blending.
Yeah. Well, and that's my favorite stuff. Is that was back in the day. You would composite 50 different ways to do it. It's like part miniature, part scale limited models. Like you'd have to build it all together. It was so cool. Anyway, before this turns into it, Ian gets irritated about too much CGI. We'll keep moving.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Great
it was
practical
fun.
effect.
Yeah, we love
50 years on, still looks great.
It still looks good.
If you disagree, fuck yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
the leg falling in the water, that's fucking cool.
Beyond all of that, you could never get as good a visceral of a experience without having that physical massive prop on set with those guys. Like it just changed the nature of the entire thing. It felt very
and
real.
also like if it was just shots of a real shark or something, which would be highly improbable, but even if it was, there's something. Jaws is supposed to be a monster,
right? It's supposed to be
so
too big.
The fact that it is an animatronic kind of builds into that like thing of this is not a real thing. This is insane.
This is beyond.
This is beyond anything.
Because like otherwise it's just that's just a shark. Like a shark's not supposed to like go on your boat like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the fact that this one does is crazy.
And again, I don't care how good of an actor you are. You are
That
going to
shit's
give
terrifying.
a better performance.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
when you are waist deep inside an actual like shark mouth with teeth rubber teeth that are biting down
you, and you're spitting up fake blood.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
It's gonna be a lot more
Your
realistic.
performance will be more realistic.
Right, 'cause if
I don't care how good you are.
And it was, you didn't need any more gore than that to be absolutely horrified. Like you didn't need more than
You're
that.
also horrified on an emotional level
Right.
because you're like, this is
But
probably
I
his
like-
greatest fear.
Right,
Like
we love.
and
he's
that's-
going
that's
down
the
like
thing.
his comrades did in war,
Yeah.
you know?
And you have
That's what's so heartbreaking
as an
about
audience,
it.
you're given all of those clues.
Right.
And this might be a good time to talk about this one scene that had not jumped out to me as much in previous viewings.
Okay.
It's, you mentioned this earlier, the scene where he goes down to grab the life jackets.
Yes.
So right before that, there's a really interesting John Williams thing where he plays the Farewell and Adieu to You for Spanish Ladies
Yes.
scene,
That's
and
right.
then he combines it with like the more threatening Jaws theme, and he like switches back and forth a couple times.
Yeah.
And it's just a solo shot, like a medium shot with Quint, and that's when he goes down and then it pans over and he looks at the life jackets. And it's the first time I noticed how much weight they put on that shot.
They did. They really did.
It's really, and what I think it is the moment that Quint realizes that this is the end.
He's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it.
And he doesn't want to drag these people down
with
too.
him.
Yeah,
he's grown to really care about these guys.
It's him. It's Quint making a choice. Like
he can't go on
I'm
anymore.
not going to make it. I'm going to try to save these guys. And I'd never read into that before, but I think that's why they weight that scene so much.
Yeah.
I remember that being like a big, like a very pointed edit.
Yeah.
And to your point, a very pointed moment in the soundtrack. Yeah. No, you're right.
Because it's almost it's great.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, Katie, it plays into his character so much because then when he is getting eaten, you get it. It's like nope,
he's terrified.
He is terrified. This is something
he's reliving trauma
and relived his entire life. Since the war,
but he still goes down. Like he goes down fighting.
He's got that machete in his hand.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like he goes. That's the way he would want to go if he's gonna go.
He's gonna go out fighting.
Yeah.
And hence the reason why he psychotically destroys, the communication device, because in his mind at that point he's like, no, I'm doing this myself.
Right.
Like,
It's me and you, bud.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy, but
Yeah, and that too, because it's such a strange thing. But it's like, no, he doesn't want the Coast Guard coming.
No.
And taking his prize.
Right.
He
needs to.
He will never be
to meet
satisfied
this head
until
on.
he really kills.
I will never be satisfied. Don't copy strike us, please.
Yeah, welcome back to. The good news with podcasts is it's harder to get copy struck.
Oh, great!
But it does happen. Okay, smile, you son of a. So that's the
Smile, you son of a.
Just an awesome it's so good.
So much hype.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And following
There's like
that,
shark bits flying around everywhere.
The gentle melodic descent.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
The shark down to the bottom.
Yes,
of the
with the red kind of floating cloud.
And
it's abstract, and it's like also very sympathetic to the shark.
Yeah.
It's a moment where you're like, oh shit, this is a living creature.
Right.
Well,
it's just doing its
was a living
thing.
creature.
Right.
And it's just a moment where you sympathize with the monster, just like in a lot of the other classic horror
I don't think
stuff.
it's sympathizing with the monster. I think it's more so to show that it's a benevolent kind of creature. Like it's not out here because it's evil,
Right.
Well, it's nature. It's just part of nature. It's just
part
trying
of
to
nature.
Do what it was programmed to do.
Right.
But it just takes
just like
you a
Hooper
moment,
said,
because it's your initial thing when he blows up is
like,
just triumph. But then as soon as you do that triumph, it just pulls back and
it's
you're
like,
down
hey.
there sinking with the shark.
Right.
And it's just a contemplative moment of, wow.
And then the debris falling in
It's like
slow
a beauty,
motion up on
sad
top.
Beauty, tragic beauty.
The other thing that I actually felt from that moment was this isn't just the grave of the shark, it's the grave of the people it
Yes.
ate.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Including Quint, who
just got killed.
Yeah.
You're so right.
Yeah,
I
so
hadn't thought about that.
It's really double tragic from that. Like you're watching all of that scene.
Most certainly not digested.
No,
point.
You're right. It's all of those victims. Yeah, I had never thought about it that way.
Yeah,
that's very good.
Well, fun. I'm glad that film school education worked for me.
It's all paying off.
This is what it all leads up to, folks.
It's all paying off.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't go to film school. Just listen to podcasts about films.
Yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah, just listen to this.
Just listen to this podcast, please.
That's good enough.
You'll
figure it out.
learn everything you need.
Honestly, that's not even a joke.
Or just watch Jaws 15
times. That's all you need. It's a basically perfect film except for that one edit that will kill me forever.
It is.
It's a really good movie.
It's almost perfect.
Almost perfect.
Let's rate this thing.
Yes.
Let's rate it.
All right. Production. So as we remember, production design, story, performance, and cultural impact. I think production and design, I would be willing to give like a 4.8 or a 5. Like I think it's probably about there.
It's at top tier from when it came out.
I think that we can't call it like utter perfection because like ultimately the animatronic isn't perfect.
Right.
But
that is a key part of
it is.
Yes.
And I'll give it like a 4.8. If that makes sense. I'm willing to go off.
And also thinking about also just production design, like set design.
Yeah, it was also
impeccable.
And I guess I kind of want to get back into
your
like, beyond that. Like I want to dock at the point too, because of the it's like the rubbery like moment, which isn't, again, not ruining the movie for me at all, but it is a reason I don't want to give it like a 5, right? But other than that, like, kind of your closing thoughts on production and design for this.
The production used every opportunity they could on location to create this, just all these authentic textures, just like the casting. You get these faces that are probably real Islanders, and they talk like real Islanders.
Because they're all 70 years
costumes
old.
too.
The costumes. So so the production design did a lot of the same thing. They used, I'm sure, a lot of stuff that they sourced on the island. That I can't remember the story of the Orca. It was a boat, I believe, that they found, and they built I think a fiberglass replica of it, which is the one they used for like the sinking effects and stuff like that. So I mean, it's outstanding production design. A lot of it's not flashy particularly, aside from the shark and the orca.
It felt real.
But it feels authentic, and it serves the story well. So
absolutely.
I can't really fault it.
Yeah.
All right. Story. This one's a tough one usually for me because I like, not every movie is trying to be the mystery box perfect interwoven story thing, but I will say this, and when I talk about story, I also include the script itself and the dialogue. And I think that the story itself wasn't super complicated, but everything that it told was very well told and told with good intentions.
That's the thing too, is a story doesn't have to be complicated.
Exactly.
But it's like, how do you tell the story? Right. That's why I think it's such a strong contender for a perfect score, in my opinion, because it takes something very just, there's a killer shark on an island community. Cool. How do you make this like one of the most compelling films ever?
Right. And I think a lot of that is, we've been talking about this, is the dialogue.
Yes.
The dialogue is so natural while not being mumblecore. It does a good job of
Except
being...
for Quint.
Except for Quint.
But that's like part of the mystique of Quint.
Yeah.
Of Quint.
Yeah. Hooper. So good. And then... I think that, and just all of that is great. I think I would give it a 5 because it's just well executed.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't know if Megan has a different thought, she can fight me about it later. Fight. Performances, we would give this one a 5.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's flawless.
Flawless.
There's
acting.
nothing else to say.
Even the background extras are
amazing.
They're just
Everyone's
incredible.
perfection.
Everybody put their entire back into this film
I
when
love
it comes to the acting.
Absolutely. And then cultural impact.
Yeah. So we were talking about the disaster film thing after that, which this kind of created a new genre.
I think that overall, typically the way we do this is we call 3 baseline. So 3 means sort of no impact. And then below 3 is negative impact to the world. And above 3 is generally positive impact to the world. And I would willingly give this one like a 4.5 or a 5.
I mean, everybody knows Jaws.
Everyone knows
Everyone
Jaws.
knows it. It created tropes.
It did. It did.
It created hype. It's like a summer flick.
Trauma.
So quick aside. So.
Oh, this is good.
1975.
Yes.
Yeah.
My mom is 10 years old.
Oh, no.
My grandpa decides to take her to see a movie. The blockbuster, summer blockbuster.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah, it was Jaws. And she was scared shitless.
Oh, no.
And so she has a very visceral reaction.
She's still scared shitless.
She's still terrified of this. And so I guess that's a negative cultural impact. But
it's a test to the how strong the film is.
Terrified, just like Psycho terrified housewives of
oh my god,
people staying at motels and taking showers.
Did you know that Janet Leigh never ever took a shower after that film ever again? She always took baths. And she always had the door open.
Wild.
The entire time.
Wow.
Because she was so bothered by that.
Yeah. And that's another parallel, is just those 2 movies that had a massive impact on just like the way Americans
look at those things. And like, how many times have you gone swimming somewhere and you just hear dun 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 dun, dun like somebody's fucking around, like every time.
Every time.
And I think like it also and to finish your story about your mom, Mitch, what was really entertaining is about this time actually last year, we had your sister over, and her husband, and she had never seen Jaws, and she was actually like, oh, I don't know if I want to watch this because Mom is so scared of this.
Yeah.
And we were like, no, you can do it. And so it was kind of a nice, it tied off that era. She kind of fulfilled her mother's
the prophecy.
Yes.
And by the way, there was a point like maybe 20 minutes in the movie where my sister turned to us and was like, "Oh wait, is this
good?"
Yeah.
She's like, "I thought this was a cheesy movie."
Like, no, this is like
excellent.
really
Good movie.
good.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I think the cultural impact is pretty undeniable.
I think
It's in the average.
I think it's a 4.5 or a 5.
Yeah.
Average American lexicon
Honestly,
includes.
I think we called it a 5 because also, like, you know, while there was a little bit of time where like sharks were very vilified from this film,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's kind of come full circle.
It has.
At this
Yeah,
point, like
it
now
has.
Discovery Channel has Shark Week. Like this
Yeah.
has become like a thing now.
It also
you know
kind
what,
of
you're
like
right.
popularized sharks.
Yeah.
That's
for good or
Shark Week
Yeah.
exists because
Because
of
of
because of
Jaws.
this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It just like how Jurassic Park created the freaking 1990s craze for kids and dinosaurs.
I was one of them.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
So I think I'm gonna give it a 5.
Yeah.
Good.
Because
I
yeah.
And not only that, but also just its impact on filmmaking as well. Like not
100%.
only just its
Yeah.
pop culture kind of thing.
Yeah. So what we do is we round up to the nearest whole number, because that's what or the nearest half, I should say. That gives us a score of a total rating of 5.
Hell yeah.
Holy
It is up.
Hell
It is up
yeah.
there. The current 5s on the list as it stands today are Inside Out, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, Snowpiercer, and Jaws.
Fuck yeah.
That's a great list.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
And then closely followed at 4.9 by Dirty Dancing.
Oh.
4.9.
4.9.
I thought you rounded to the nearest half.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened.
Make it a 5.
I'm gonna make it a 5. I don't know.
Dirty
I don't know how that
Dancing was
happened.
culturally relevant in my life.
I think the calculations I had to do in Airtable are a little different, but but when I go into Letterboxd and do it, it's the nearest half.
Yeah.
So Dirty Dancing
Gotcha,
was 5
gotcha.
Letterboxd. But anyway, whew, there
That
we go,
being
gang.
said,
that being said,
We're going to need a bigger boat.
we're gonna need a bigger boat. I want to thank both of you so much for showing me the movie and
Oh, we're so
joined to-
happy.
yes.
I was so excited to watch you experience this for the first time.
and get jump scared
And
because
get- It's just,
it's a good film. I was really expecting it to be cheesy as hell, and it really isn't cheesy as hell. And I'm so stoked. And thank you for showing me. And thanks so much for listening to Film School Slacker. I'm Ian,
I'm Mitch.
I am Katie.
and we will see you next time.
Dun, dun,
Farewell
dun, dun,
and
dun, 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 dun.
Thank you for listening to Film School Slacker. Our graphic design is by Mitch Ransdell. Music by Ariel Shalom and Ziv Moran. Voiceover audio provided by Mike D and Janet Paoni. Learn more at filmschoolslacker.com.